What's good, peeps? Welcome back to another episode of Addy and Friends. I believe this is Addy and Friends episode 5, I think. A great lineup again. I'm very happy with this one. I got Bass, my brother from London, not too far away from me, 20 minutes away. So me and him will probably go for a drink sometime very soon. We've got Kieran down below. Kieran, thank you so much for joining in, sorry. And we've got G-Man Boxing. A lot of you guys will probably know G-Man Boxing, great YouTube channel. I plugged him so much, I want some sort of royalties from him very, very soon because I'm plugging him all the time. But I plug him because he does a great job. Guys, we're going to kick straight off with this one. Eddie Hearn announced his fight camp that will happen in his back garden. You guys have seen the back garden. It doesn't look like any of our back gardens. It's a monster of a back garden. I've been there before. It's an amazing space. A few people are not too happy with it. Some are. Let's quickly read out the fights very quickly, and then I'm going to get you guys' opinion on what you think of the fight cards. So the first fight card, week 1, is Ted Cheeseman versus Sam Eggington, James Tennyson versus Gavin Gwynn, Fabio Wardley versus Simon Vallely. That's a good heavyweight fight. Jordan Gill versus Reece Bellotti, Dalton Smith versus Nathan Bennett. Second week, we've got Terry Harper versus Natasha Jonas. That's a world title fight. Chris William Smith versus Nathan Forley. Anthony Fowler fighting Adam Harper. Aqib Fiaz versus Kane Baker. Hopi Price, the prospect, to be confirmed. Week 3, Felix Cash versus Jason Welburn. Commonwealth middleweight title, it's a good fight. Zelfa Barrett versus Eric Donovan. Kieran Conway versus Naveed Mansouri. Shannon Courtney versus Rachel Ball. John Doherty versus, again, to be confirmed. And the final one, the pay-per-view event, Dillian Whyte versus Povetkin. Katie Taylor versus to be confirmed. They are trying to sort out the Serrano fight. They don't know if they can do that. They don't know if she can travel. If it's not going to be her, I don't know. Will it still be a world title fight against someone lower ranked? Who knows? Martin Bakodi versus Kuzman, which is a good heavyweight fight. And Luther Clay versus Chris Congo. I'm going to start with you, Kieran. Simple question. Happy with that or not?
Very happy. I personally think lots of these are prospects and they wouldn't fight these fights normally because they're against people who want to win. Not getting, like, everyone goes to boxing to win, but some people are just there for a payday, if that makes sense.
Yep.
They're not expected to win. But here, there's a lot of like 60-40 clashes. Like you know some of the people who are expected to win, but you know it's going to be a battle. Like you're not going to just sort of walk over them. I think that's important to have, especially earlier on in your career, because you need to know, you need to get reschooled, you need to have the ability to get past these challenges. And if you only get that, 20 fights on, and you're under levels, you're not ready for the big fights. Like Anthony Yarde, when he went against Kovalev, you can tell he has the talent, but he wasn't prepared for it. He hadn't faced the people to give him those challenges to overcome yet. So, like, for example, the Gavin Gwynn fight, who's he? He's against that person who lost against Tim Farmer, isn't he?
Yep.
And obviously, Gavin Gwynn's expected to lose, but he's only had 10 fights and 1 loss against Joe Cordina, which is obviously a hard fight to have anyway, Olympian. And it was a close fight. He had his moments in that. And I just think it's just good. All these fights are just going to be a good watch. But I understand why people are not happy with it because there's not many big names on there. Like the fan-supported names. Like some we only have Anthony Fowler, Bakodi, and White. Those are and Terry Harper as well. So there's only a few big names that people really know, unless you're properly into boxing.
G-Man, that's the problem though, isn't it? Matchroom are some people say the biggest promoters in the world, right? Yes, you've got the pay-per-view fighters. I don't think people expected to see the pay-per-view guys. No one's asking to see a Derek Chisora on something like this or an Anthony Joshua. But maybe they are looking for the Josh Warringtons of the world, the Lawrence Okolis, the Boatzis. People might have expected to see some of those guys. This is the first month. We don't know what's coming in September, October. We are still behind closed doors. But were you surprised that Eddie Hearn didn't put one of these guys on one of the shows?
No, not in the least. I think that the pay cut that they're going to take is going to be drastic. And let's bear in mind, these guys, they're not world level fighters. So the pay they're getting is probably, more than your average fighter. But for them, they're just probably breaking even. So if you're going to reduce that they're probably looking at that and thinking, "Do you know what? Why don't we just hold out?" Because a lot of these guys, they're still young. The guys like Josh Warrington, Joshua Boazzi, they're still quite young. They're still fresh. So they're probably looking and thinking, "Do you know what? We can get over this little hump for a while and just, take a break, stay inactive for a little bit, rather than, go in, have a fight, and fight for maybe could be pennies." I think the cards that Eddie Hearn has, they're not bad. I'm not complaining. I actually think that the first card, the one with Eggert and Cheeseman, to me on paper, that looks like the most competitive because it seems to have 50-50 fights all down the card. Cheeseman, Egerton, Bellotti and Gill, they're good fights. 50-50 fights, good domestic clashes. So to me, that seems the most competitive out of them. But I'm not complaining about them. I think we're getting boxing back in the UK on Sky. So, it's at a normal time for all of us. So, I think it's a good thing. I think that later on down the line, we'll see how it goes with fans. Then if there's probably no fans, we may start to see guys like that get named. But I think Josh Warrington, Lawrence Okoli, I'd imagine that they probably would want to be well compensated. And I just don't think that they're in a position to do that with the behind closed door events.
Base, you look at what's happened in America so far with them coming back. Top Rank have put on quite a few shows back to back. We've seen Shakur Stevenson, maybe not in against the top name, but we've seen a big name, world champion in Shakur Stevenson. We might see Miguel Bichel as well. He's coming up. Golden Boy have talked about Virgil Ortiz. So they're chucking some of their sort of mid-tier to big names on events over there. Why can't we do it over here?
But you see, I think the thing that we have to remember about them is they're actually only putting them in against E-level opponents, E and D-level opponents. So they're probably going to be happy to take that kind of money, like that real short money for those opponents, because they know that's a walkover. They probably do that in sparring plus more. So I kind of see what people are saying when they're like, it's not the greatest. But to be honest, I'm comfortable with it because let's be real, it's unprecedented times. Everyone's taking their pay cuts. Like these are the people that are just like, you know what? The activity to me is more important than the money right now. I need to get that ring rust off. I need to be sharp. I need to continue my progression because a lot of them are the younger stars. To be honest, I'm a bit disappointed that someone like Joshua Boazzi didn't get in there because he ain't had a fight for a long time and he needs one because he doesn't look anywhere near as good as he used to. He looks like his skills are slipping by the day. So I would have liked to see him in there. In terms of the cards, though, I'm actually quite interested in Harper Jonas, to be honest. I don't know why, but that just seems like a fight that that could go either way, especially if Jonas sort of gets over that hump she had from sort of the last little disappointment that she had. With who's the other one? Katie Taylor. I'm really hoping Serrano does come in for that fight, but if she doesn't, Pursoon, if she comes in, I'll be happy with either one of those. Anyone outside of that, then I think you need to kind of take that off pay-per-view or just bring down that price bracket because Dillian Whyte and Povetkin by himself isn't going to be worth the regular pay-per-view money. As much as I'm happy with the other fights that are on there, there's just not enough to make it worth the 20 quid they might charge. If it's like a $12.99 kind of thing, cool, especially if you get like, a proper competitive Taylor Serrano fight. But outside of that, they need to sort of work that one down a bit.
Interesting you say that because they actually haven't spoke about the pay-per-view price. Normally when they release this, they kind of put the price there as well. They've not done that yet. So I wonder if they might be thinking that as well, that we need to reduce it. What's also interesting...
Well, Eddie said regular price, though. Eddie said regular
did say
price.
regular,
so
and
that's why I'm saying that,
yeah.
He also did say there's hopefully going to be more fights on that card as well, not just the ones they've said. And he also said in an interview if they've asked Pursoon, they've offered her if they don't get this fight. So hopefully it should be a good fight.
Yeah, I mean... At the moment, we've only got a 4-fight card for a pay-per-view, which is, look, I get what's going on, but 4 fights on a pay-per-view, and 2 of those are heavyweights. So, those could sort of go very quickly. I'm shocked that they don't add a couple more to a pay-per-view event. Again, you're asking people to pay 20 quid. I think people would want a bit more on there. I think we've got competitive fights. I think Congo versus Clay is going to be very, very good. I think Bakolu Kuzman's fantastic, but I do expect a bit more. Kieran, do you think that we're not seeing a couple of the big names, like what Base and G-Man have alluded to, maybe because a lot of the fighters that we wanted to see have turned down opportunity to take fights because of the low money?
Yes, I definitely think that. I heard Conor Benn was going to be fighting someone, and they got turned down because people weren't ready. I don't know which side it was on who wasn't ready, but that's a fine example of that. And I think that for some fighters, I guess like Josh Warrington, who brings in lots of money through the crowd, and like you said, they might not have. We don't know how much these fighters are really getting paid. We don't know, because obviously, like Joshua Buatsi has a big fan base from the Olympics, so these people, those big names have that fan base. But I would have liked to seen maybe one or two put in there, even if it's at the lower level, like a contender, like that.
G-Man, let's go to the big one. Dillian Whyte versus Povetkin. Big fight for Dillian Whyte. I feel like the last sort of month has been all about Dillian Whyte and the WBC and Tyson Fury, and not much about Povetkin. I think Povetkin is very much still serviceable. I watched him up close and personal against Michael Hunter in Saudi Arabia. Came on strong the second half of that fight. I thought Michael Hunter thought it was an old man and he was going to get rid of him. He couldn't get rid of him. How much of a threat is Povetkin still right now to Dillian Whyte?
I think Dillian Whyte is in for a tough time with Povetkin. And I think that the closer I've got to this fight, the more I'm starting to think, you know what, Povetkin is dangerous. You know, he can counterpunch on the front foot. And I'm looking at Dillian Whyte with all this social media stuff he's putting out about the WBC, about Tyson Fury. And I'm thinking, mate, if this is all you're thinking about and you're not thinking about Povetkin, you're in for a rude awakening on fight night, because Povetkin, he doesn't have any of these distractions. He's doing whatever he's doing over there in Russia. He's getting ready for this fight. And you're thinking about court cases. You're thinking about, you know, down the line. You're talking past Povetkin. And to me, whenever you hear fighters talking past another fighter, especially when it's a live opponent, you know, different when it's a journeyman, when you're talking about a live opponent, you're talking past them, that's when upsets happen. That's when upsets are on the cards. So I always thought that this was a 12-rounder. I didn't think that Dillian Whyte would get rid of Povetkin. I thought it'd be competitive. But the more we've got closer to this fight, the more now I'm thinking, Dillian Whyte, if his head's not in the game, you know, he makes sure that it is on fight night, because he's in for a rude awakening.
Base, we are seeing pictures and videos of Dillian Whyte. He is training hard, looks fit. I think physically he looks the best I've seen him for a long time, especially how bad he looked against Marius Vac, where I think he weighed in at like 271. I think he's now down to that kind of weight that we saw him in against Chisora. Could he be looking past Povetkin? Again, he's not mentioned him. We've not heard much about Povetkin in this build-up. It's all been Fury, Wilder, Joshua, Fury, Wilder, Joshua. Povetkin's a top 7, top 8 heavyweight. I mean, this guy's no slouch. Is he looking past him?
Do you know, to be honest, I don't think he's looking past him, but I don't think he's got his full attention on him. And that could definitely be his downfall. But the difference between him now and how he was, say, with Vac and even before that with Rivas is like, at least now he hasn't got much else to really worry about. The WBC thing, it's a distraction, it's a problem, but it's almost like, at least in his head, you can kind of say, okay, that's almost complete now. Like, that's almost at the finish line. There's not much more I've got to worry about. There's no false drug accusations. Yeah, none of that to worry about now. So he should be focused in that sense. Povetkin is extremely dangerous. Povetkin is still, as you said, a top 7 heavyweight, probably even higher, to be honest. And the one issue I have is I actually think Povetkin's style, that sort of quick under the jab type style hooks, that's not good for Dillian. I mean, personally, I said from time, he should have been trying to be fighting taller guys. He needed to practice for the heavyweights he's going to be going in there against. Yeah. All of the Rivas, Ruiz, Povetkin, like none of those are going to benefit you when you had Wilder, when you have Fury, when you have Joshua with the belts. Even Usyk is still sort of like 6'3.5", 6'4". Like, he's around about that same size. All this punching down is not going to help you when you need to be punching up. His gas tank isn't the greatest. It looks like he might actually be getting better now, but punching up takes a lot more effort than punching down. So he needs to come in fully correct. He needs to have his head in the game. And he definitely does need to remember that Povetkin was an Olympic gold medalist, former world champion, only been knocked out once. He's only lost to the very best in the best of the best. So if he doesn't remember any of that, it could be a bad night for him.
Kieran, do you share the same opinion as Base and G-Man? Do you look at it as a very, very tough fight as well?
Oh yeah, completely agree. I've never seen a time when it hasn't been a hard fight. Povetkin, except for against Fury, he hasn't looked bad for the last 5 years. Even against Joshua, he had his moments.
Yeah.
And he only looked bad against Fury because how do you look good against Fury? He's a negative fighter. But he's so defensive, it's so hard to get well, especially if you're a shorter person like Povetkin. But both of them got two of the best left hooks in the game. It's going to be a brawl. It's going to be a war. But hopefully White isn't overlooking it. I don't think he, like Bay said, he's not properly overlooking it, but I don't think he has his full attention. But I understand why, because he kind of had to, with everything going on with Joshua Fury. He's like, oh, but don't forget about me. Like, I'm still here. But I still think he should be concentrating on the matter at hand. His fighting will do the speaking for him. If he gets a KO win off this, his league up there. It's already up there, but it's other level again.
G-Man, this was supposed to be the MEN Arena, the Manchester Arena. I think that's, I think it was like 15 to 20,000 people in that arena. Let's be honest, 99.9% of those people would have been for Dillian Whyte. And they would have been cheering Dillian Whyte. Every punch he's throwing is with Dillian Whyte. No fans this time. I mean, that takes away a bit, especially for fighters that rely on that fan energy. And I feel like Dillian Whyte is one of those guys. How do you think Dillian Whyte's going to take this fight with no fans? Do you think it detracts from his performance at all?
It's hard to say, because Dillian Whyte definitely, you can tell, he feeds off the crowd, and he's fired at that. He loves being in these big arenas. He loves having the fans cheering him. He does his ring walk. He does his howls. So you can tell he's playing up to get the fans going. So when you take all that away, he's going to be walking out to an empty, garden basically. And yeah, it might be strange. It'd be a real gym atmosphere. With Povetkin, I don't think it'll affect him at all, because let's not forget, he's been on the road pretty much the last 3 years. He's been getting booed out of the building every fight he's been getting. So with Povetkin, it's going to be like, oh, it's quiet. And I think when he's fighting in Russia, it's quiet over there anyway, for the most part. So he's just going to be like, I'm back home. So again, I think this fight, it has upset written all over it. Not to say I'm picking Povetkin, but just all the elements, everything that's going on, it's just like, oh, this could be an upset. And I think Dillian Whyte, a bit like Chisora, they're both guys that just feed off the crowd. That's why I think when they have fights, they're so good. They just feed off the crowd. You take that away, they'd be like, what's going to happen? When Dillian Whyte hits Povetkin with a left hook and maybe buzzes him and there's no one cheering, will he step on the gas? Because a lot of times you kind of feel that when fighters step on the gas, because the crowd hear the punch land, I'm sure the fighter knows as well, but when the crowd are cheering as well, it urges the fighter on. Maybe Dillian Whyte could catch Povetkin and just think, okay, he's all right, and Povetkin's legs could be gone, but he might, I'm sure he'd know, but he mightn't jump on it the way he normally would.
I wonder if Eddie Hearn would do what the football's doing and do fake crowd noise. I honestly,
I like that, actually.
I wonder. You never know. Base, I don't want to look past Povetkin. I feel bad doing it, but I've got to bring up Tyson Fury quickly. That issue with Dillian Whyte. It almost looks like the way these guys are kind of going back and forth on social media, it almost looks like they're building a fight after their fights, respectively. How big is a Dillian Whyte-Tyson Fury fight? If it was to happen over here, is it a stadium fight? Is it a fight that does 1 million pay-per-view buys? Am I going too far? Is it that big or no?
I don't think it's that big. It's a stadium fight, but it's not like a Wembley or even like a Emirates or the Tottenham ground. I think it's more like a Crystal Palace kind of level. Like, we're talking like a good
still 30,000.
No, I'm saying 30, 35, 40,000, sort of that range. I think it's that kind of stadium fight. You'll get a very good crowd in there. Pay-per-view wise, I'm thinking more sort of around 700 to 750. Like that's still real good numbers, but neither of them have ever gone anywhere close to 1 million in the UK. So it's hard to think that unless realistically AJ is involved in that trifecta, I don't see it going above that unless they really do something so outlandish in the build-up that piques the interest. And to be fair, they could do that because they're both wild. They're both wildfires when they want to be.
Kieran, let's quickly jump back to that card. Martin Bakole, Kuzman, a fight that a lot of people are talking about. They both have a mutual opponent in Michael Hunter. Michael Hunter stopped Bakole. Kuzman lost to Michael Hunter on points. How do you think that one plays out, Kuzman and Bakole?
Actually, not sure. I think people are underestimating Kuzman. He has the better experience out of the two. He's fought better fighters, or more experienced fighters with better records anyway. Doesn't necessarily mean they're better skilled, but Bakole has that power. And he's one of the only 3 or 4 people who've knocked out Martin Johnson, which is, it's not an understatement. He's a defensive fighter. That's hard to do.
Kevin Johnson.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Kevin
Johnson. And no, it's a good fight. I slightly favour Bakole just because I think I have a bias because I think I like him more. But both, it's going to be a war. And I think it's a very 50-50 fight. But I think Bakole just nudged it because of that power.
G-Man, where is Bakole? If he does beat a Kuzman, I can't... I don't think of Bakole for some reason. I think of Joyce and Dubois. I mean, if he beats a Kuzman, is he there with them, or is he just outside that? I don't know where he is in the rankings.
It's a tough one as well, because you look at Martin Bakole and you can't take a loss. Loss is never. But when you look at his loss against Michael Hunter, It was a bad loss. He looked terrible in that fight.
He did.
And prior to that, you had people saying, this Martin Bakole guy, you look at him, he's up and coming, he's a big punter, he's knocking these guys out. So when he lost to Michael Hunter, especially in that fashion, he just seemed to just drop off the radar. And, quietly he kind of done his thing. He fought Whack over in Poland and stopped him, and that takes some doing. Dillian Whyte couldn't do it. So he's kind of almost built him. He's actually doing better now in terms of the people he's beaten since he lost to Michael Hunter than he was before it. So, but again, he still gets overlooked. I don't know why. Maybe because he's fighting on these Eddie Hearn shows, but he's fighting on the YouTube streaming shows. He's not even on the main card. I think his last 3 fights have been the 6 o'clock YouTube show. So no one's really getting to see him. He's fighting in an empty arena anyway. So I think maybe that has a lot to do with it. He's just not getting the exposure. So people just kind of tend to just paper over it because we're not even seeing him on these main shows. Because not even too many people watch the streaming shows this guy put on at 6 o'clock.
This is it then for him, isn't it? Really, this is his chance.
This is his
third
main
on
chance.
pay-per-view. Everyone's going to be at home watching it. This is his chance to really shine.
Exactly. I think that Kuzman, he's not fought since he lost to Michael Hunter, and even then, Kuzman's never really looked that impressive. Like the times I've seen him, especially even against David Price. That was an injured David Price. David Price, to me, was winning that fight. He was just keeping him at bay until he quit. So, Kuzman's never looked that impressive. I think it's there for Martin Bakole to win. But there's worries I have with Bakole. Like his weight tends to fluctuate in weight a lot. And he is someone who is better when he's lighter. He's not the biggest heavyweight in the world in terms of like his physical size. So if he can get on point with the weight, can come in there prepared, ready, I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be Kuzman. And then on the main platform, then we'll start probably getting mentioned along the Joyces and the Dubois and maybe the Hrgovics there.
G-Man spoke about weight. The next person we want to talk about is Andy Ruiz, a guy that struggled with weight. We know that. There is a lot of talk about him coming back now and him fighting Chris Arreola. I don't know what to make of Andy Ruiz. I think he's a good fighter. I really do. I think there's a good fighter in there. I don't think it was a fluke, the AJ performance. I think even in the rematch, I could tell AJ was a bit nervous. AJ saw those fast hands and it wasn't really the AJ we're used to seeing. What do you expect from him in the next sort of year and a half, Andy Ruiz? Do you expect him to be up there against the top guys or just a guy that had his moment, and we won't see him at the top again?
I don't think we're going to see him at the upper echelon top again, primarily because now none of the belts are that side of the pond, and that there are a lot of them are scared to travel. So I think you're going to see him in a lot of these Arreola, Kovnatsky, Hellenius type fights, where sort of the middle of the road, sort of the bottom of the top 15 until you get into maybe a mandatory type position. Year and a half, we'll be lucky if we get 2 fights out of him, to be honest. I'd actually like him to be a lot more active, like he was sort of just before the Joseph Parker fight. And even when he came, he had this little break after that, but then he came back and he sort of had I think it was 3 on the bounce within like 6 months or something. That's Andy Ruiz at his best. Like, keep him active, keep him sharp, keep him engaged, and he can definitely do big things. I just don't know if he's going to get the necessary opportunities. But having said that, first Mexican American heavyweight champion, so he's going to be trading off of that for a long time. So at least he'll get opportunities off of that alone. So if America are looking for their star, because Wilder sort of looks like he might be out of the picture now, then they can at least, he might get opportunities just based on that fact and the marketability. So he could do some stuff, but I'm not putting out too much hope at the moment. But let's see how he gets on with Jose Reynoso as new trainer.
Yeah, let's not forget he's with Reynoso now, part of that Canelo camp. So the computer role is not going to be too far away. Kieran, what do you expect from Andy Ruiz? Again, I think he is a top 10 fighter, maybe near that bottom top 10, but I still think he causes problems for a lot of the good guys. I just don't think he takes it as serious as he should, as serious as the other guys do. So that's always my issue with him. It's not talent, it's weight and seriousness. What's your thoughts on Andrew Ruiz?
I think I'm quite similar to you. I've got a lot of hope for him because you can tell he has the IQ, you can tell he has the fast hands, you can tell he has a bit of power. I mean, only one other person's put down Joshua, and that was, so it's like, it's not, that's a big feat to have, and he did it 3 times. So, but it's just, I think it also depends on 4 times, yeah. It just depends how many times, how his promoter promotes him. Because, like, even when Wilder was world champion, he wasn't getting the big fights, really. Like, Brazil was his biggest fight, except for Tyson Fury or Ortiz. And before Ortiz, unless you were a boxer, like, you didn't properly know about him, if you know that makes sense. Yeah. Like, he wasn't mainstream. But, hopefully they build on it. I mean, it's a bit of a disappointing fight with Ariola. It's still going to be fun to watch. It'll be good for, like, a couple of rounds, hopefully. But you understand with everything going on, and it is a comeback fight after the loss. I was hoping for a bit of a fight, someone above this. Like,
what do you think, G-Man? Is it Ariola just because it probably will be behind closed doors, and again, financially, no gate receipts, so Ariola's a cheap option. It's a name. Ariola's Mexican as well, right? So he was predicted to be the first Mexican heavyweight with those fights against Deverne. So in that sense, they could look at it as a way to sell it. What do you think of that matchup?
They'll definitely market it as, the all-Mexican clash. Obviously, I would have rather Ruiz make his comeback against somebody a bit better. I mean, Ariola at his best 10 years ago was never that good, and now he's retired. I think he retired for a while after the Wilder fight. Yeah. So I'd like him to be against someone better. He is starting out with a new trainer in Eddie Reynoso, so it'd be good to see if they've improved him in any way. If he comes in significantly lighter. With Ruiz, it's like people put him in the conversation with guys like Rackman and Buster Douglas. Now we think it's a bit harsh because with Ruiz, you can see the talent's there. It's just the discipline. It's just the motivation. Yeah. And, my kind of way of looking at Ruiz is that he lost the motivation after the Joshua first fight. He got something like 7 million. I'm just thinking now he's coming back after getting probably double that. Yeah. So where's the motivation going to be? If that was enough to demotivate him the first time, what's going to happen to him now? But I'm back in my head, I'm thinking he's training with Canelo. And if you need motivation, just look at Canelo train. And Canelo, biggest star in world boxing, makes the most money. He's still, is a gym rat. He's never out of the gym. So I'm hoping some of that might rub off on Ruiz, and we'll maybe see a more disciplined Ruiz. And, on point Ruiz, who, has his head on, who's trying, he's a problem. Ask Anthony Joshua, ask Joseph Parker. He's a problem. He's a problem for any heavyweight.
All right. Quick one on this one. I'm going to come straight to you with this one, Base. Frank Warren the other day, and Frank Warren, look, he does say outlandish stuff. He is Tyson Fury's promoter. But he said that Tyson Fury could have beat Lennox Lewis. This Tyson Fury beating all these greats, it's come out now. I've seen Ali, I've seen Larry Holmes, I've seen Lennox Lewis. Are we getting overly excited about Tyson Fury? We had a good Klitschko win, solid. And then a Deontay Wilder win. That's 2 wins. He hasn't defended the belt. I'm all for what he's done, but I'm also a guy that likes a bit of longevity. I like to see a stacked resume. I mean, do we need to kind of pull the reins on Tyson Fury being the greatest boxer of all time? Or where are you on this?
Well, I will say quite categorically that's some people's opinion. Like, I do not share that whatsoever. He could not beat Ali. He could not beat Lennox Lewis. He could not have beat Tyson in his prime. He's just, I feel like, you know what it is? I feel like he came at the end of, it wasn't a bad era in heavyweight boxing, but it was a bit more of a formulaic era. And he's sort of a bit of a maverick. So because of that, he's got some skills that just others weren't training in. Because a lot of heavyweight boxers, because they come from more athletic backgrounds, they get big and then sort of they start to train to become a boxer in their later years. Whereas he's been training from younger, so a lot of them don't get the same sort of fundamentals and the chance to grow. And I feel that's sort of where he's maybe taken that advantage. But let's not forget, like, a good, what was it, about 7-8 years ago, the Tyson Fury we've got now, like, he was a shell of that person even then. To be honest, the way he changed between sort of that the Steve Cunningham fight up to the Christian Hammer fight was actually, that was quite a swift change. And then going into that second Chisora fight, so I'll give him credit for that. But yeah, I agree totally. As far as I'm concerned, he's got one elite win on his record, and then he's got a B plus. Because to me, Wilder's a B plus boxer. So that's not really anything to shout home about. Klitschko, he managed to play mind games with him beforehand. Never gave him the rematch. So that the jury's still kind of out on that one, regardless of whether he may have had the mental health issues or not. We don't know, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Now it's time to stop talking about it and actually be about it. Defend your title. Once you give us one solid defense, then I want to see you against your mandatory. If you beat Joshua, then I will give you all the credit in the world. And if you carry on, if you actually, you know what, if he was to beat Joshua and then say, you know what, all right, I'm king of the hill now and I retire, I'll still give you your props, but there's still a lot of people that, you know, there's still challenges for you that you haven't taken. But I'm in total agreement with you in the sense that I'll give him his respect. He is very good. He's probably the best that is out there at the moment.
Yeah.
In terms of at least like skill wise, I would say. But he's very beatable. There's a few heavyweights that I do think can beat him, and I think if he gets in the ring with him, they will beat him.
Name them. Who are these heavyweights?
I'll tell you right now. I think Filip Hrgović will beat him.
That's interesting.
I think Hrgović will beat him. If you look at the way Hrgović moves, Hrgović will not let him get in his head the way Klitschko did. Remember, Klitschko always sort of had that. He was always about the mental mind games and the chess. Hrgović is just seek and destroy. So him, to be honest, I think
Hrgović reminds me of a younger Vitali. He's got that about him. That Vitali kind of, I don't understand what you're saying. We're not speaking English. Let's just fight.
That's it. Vitali, essentially, if you had Vlad's skills with Vitali's mindset, he would have been undefeated. Like that's how it is. So yeah, I think Hrgović, I think Whyte will beat him. I think Joshua will beat him.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a goddamn minute. Hold up here. Dillian Whyte beat Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. I think his feet are too slow.
Tell you why.
I think his feet are too slow.
No. Style, right. You see what they say, styles make fights? There's one thing that Fury's got, right? So he's got that speed of that quick he's got that quick jab, he's got the quick out, but he's only quick when he doesn't sit down and put any power in the shots. Dillian Whyte's not going to care about those little flappy shots. He's going to come straight in. He's going to come for the body. And then if Tyson Fury wants to do all of that leaning on you, try and tire you out stuff. Remember, Dillian Whyte can do that just as good. Let's look at the time he almost clotheslined Joseph Parker over the ropes in their fight several occasions. So
let's not also forget he was also about 30 seconds away from losing that fight against Joseph Parker.
Yeah, but that's right in the 12th round. I'm saying, but this is all like in the whole first half of that fight when he was doing all of that leaning on the bully boy tactics. He'll go strength for strength with Fury, and we've never seen Fury execute that kind of game plan that he did against Wilder for 12 rounds.
Is this a South London thing? Wait, 1 second. Is this a South London thing? Are you doing this because Lewisham and Brixton are only about 20 minutes away from each other?
No. Don't get me wrong. I'm a supporter of Whyte, but I'm looking at it objectively. I'm looking at what he does, how he moves, and his style of fighting. He goes back to that body. He goes back to that body punching. it's a long night for Fury. And I just don't think the same tactics that Fury used to beat Wilder, he can't use those tactics for Whyte because Whyte's bigger, stronger, and he's more ready for that kind of work. So that's what I'm saying. It's all about, if you look at it wrestling-wise, let's not forget the kickboxing background, that sort of brawler street fighter mentality anyway. He's not going to be intimidated by all of that. So Fury's going to have to sit down on all of his shots in order to actually make a dent. But by that time, he's lost some of the speed that made him dangerous in the first place.
All right, Kieran, you heard what Bay said there about Tyson Fury. Look, I wasn't even going there. I wasn't even talking about who can beat him now. I was talking about Lennox Lewis and Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali. He mentioned Hrgovic and Dillian Whyte. Before we talk about Lennox Lewis and all the fighters from the past, what do you make of Dillian Whyte and Hrgovic that Bay said?
I don't know about Hrgovic. Just because we haven't really seen enough of him, but I think he probably can knock out most people. I mean, most people in the top heavyweights can, because that's the reason why we watch it. But I can see Whyte winning that too. It's just like his body punching. He's one of the only top contenders who properly focuses on the body. Like we saw Fury do against Wilder in his last fight, but before that we didn't really see it out of his game. I'm not saying Whyte would win, but I can definitely see it happen because I don't know how Fury would personally deal with it like being like a war, as Whyte will bring it as a war. You know what Whyte does? Everything he does, he brings it. Except for maybe against Wark, which was like a 3-week notice fight, so it's fair enough. But no, I can see his points, but it's also Fury. Like, it's Fury does his thing, isn't it? He somehow always turns up at the big fights, and every time you think he's been counted off, he just somehow comes back. So I can never discount Fury again because I've done it too many times, and he showed me I was wrong. So
he might not think it's a big fight. That's also his problem. If he doesn't think it's a big fight, then he might switch off.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It's a good point. It's a good point he makes though about Fury always stepping up for big fights. The 3 tough fights he's had, Wilder, Klitschko. I picked Wilder, Klitschko. So I don't know how to discount him as well. I don't want to anymore. G-Man, come on, make sense of all this. Do you think Hrgovic? Do you think Dillian Whyte? And what do you think about him being compared to some of the best fighters in the past?
So, I think this was only going to be about comparing him to the past fighters.
It was, but Base went there. We got to continue it.
So, Hrgovic, I don't know. Like Kieran said, we've just not seen enough of Hrgovic, but he just looks like he could beat the crap out of you and give less of a shit. He doesn't care. He has that just angry face on him. With regards to Dillian Whyte, like, there's good points there. Like, would Fury consider it a big fight? I don't know, but I think that Fury, if Dillian Whyte's antics, on Twitter and to go by, I think Tyson Fury would almost see it as a big fight if Dillian Whyte is really able to get under his skin, because we know how fiery Dillian Whyte is. So it might, from the outside,
oh my God,
Fury
that
look
press
like,
conference, by the way.
Oh man.
Okay, Tyson Fury will bring Shane. Dean White will turn up, or whatever his name is.
Press conference alone
press conference alone will be violent.
Yeah. I'd pay for that. I'd pay to watch it.
I'd pay to watch the press conference as well.
Dylan Whyte versus John Fury is a precursor.
Oh my God, I forgot about John. I didn't even think about John Fury in this.
No, I can see Dylan Whyte causing Fury issues, but like I've always felt, Dylan Whyte is just a little bit too slow. He's a little bit too open. But saying that, Fury, he against Wilder, he adapted that Kronk style, but you would imagine against someone like Dillian Whyte, especially someone who's slow, he'll go back to just sticking and moving. And how do you get rid of that? How do you stop Fury moving? You go to the body. Dillian Whyte's nickname is the body snatcher. So you got to figure if Fury's not thinking about all that going into a fight with Dillian Whyte, it's very silly. But why look at Dillian Whyte? His next fight is going to be against Povetkin and then Fury, more than likely, unless they chuck something there in between. He's fighting Fury next, or Wilder, 6'8" and 6'7". So fighting a 6'2" guy again, he's going to need to be in the right frame of mind to go with Fury and punch up, because that's what he's going to need to be doing instead of punching down. So Dillian Whyte, I could see him giving Fury problems, but in terms of him beating Fury, I wouldn't be picking it. In terms of Fury being compared to the greats, again, way too soon. I mean, Klitschko win, great win. Wilder win, very good win. I think that it would have been better if he got the win the first time, because you could have said, right, well, Fury had, a good year of fighting, rehabilitation fights. He got a good, showing. He got a good test against Otto Wallin. So you could say, right, he was prepared for Wilder the second time. But if he won the first time, people would have been like, what the hell? I know most people think he won, but it's still a class of draw. People be like, what the hell? Coming back in only 6 months to be heavyweight champion again. When I look at the guys they compare him to, like Muhammad Ali, Lennox Lewis, I look at what they did towards the end of their career. Because with Fury, he's still essentially in the prime of his career, if you think about it. Whereas Ali was beating guys like Ron Lyle and George Foreman when he was past it. Lennox Lewis was beating Vitaly Klitschko when he was way past it. Whereas with Fury, he doesn't have anything like that. So with Fury, he's probably going to be, if, like Bay said, if he gets the Joshua fight, beats Joshua, he could, leave on top. We could never look at Fury and say like, oh yeah, but when he was past it, he beat this guy. With guys like Lennox Lewis and Muhammad Ali, we could say, as great as they were in their prime, they still did great things past their prime. I think that's always going to be something that might go against them.
Kieran, I'm going to come to you. Breaking news has just reached us. We've never had breaking news on Addy and Friends before. Jarrell Miller, our old friend Jarrell Miller, who popped for everything under the sun before his fight against AJ, unfortunately is out of his fight again that he had scheduled, I think it was for July 9th, because he has now popped for another banned substance. I'm trying to get the name up of the substance he's banned. It doesn't say. Mike Coppinger just said he's been pulled for testing positive for another PED. What do you make of that?
How can you be so dumb? Like, you've already been caught with, like, it was one of the biggest stories of last year. And then he's literally just got his first fight back, and he's like, do you know what I would do? Do exactly the same thing. It's just stupid and dangerous. Like, it's not just dangerous to the people he's fighting, it's dangerous to himself as well. Like, we're not meant to take these as a reason why. Like, it's just a bit mad.
Yeah, man. It is mad, isn't it?
Mate,
I want to say I'm surprised. I don't think these guys do come off PDs. Imagine fighting with PDs. You must feel like Superman. Imagine then someone saying, okay, you're no longer going to be Superman. And you still can be Superman. You can still take these things. I'm never shocked when a fighter that failed a drug test fails multiple ones after. It doesn't shock me that much.
No, but the fact that he failed for so many things the first time, I think that was the second time. I think he failed before.
He's failed before, yeah.
He's coming to fight a guy called, Jerry Forrester. It's hardly Anthony Joshua he's fighting. Do you really need the PEDs for that fight? And I mean, that's his career essentially done now at this stage, because he got the ban for the last PED fail, and this
he got banned for the kickboxing one as well.
He got banned for the kickboxing one as well. So this is another failed PED test. This is the end of this is the end of Jarrell Miller, I think. The last we'll see him.
Base, talk to me. Is this surprise? Is it news for you? Are you super shocked? I mean, we all were when I mentioned it, but when you think about it, really, considering the drugs that he took before, remember, it wasn't something small like contaminated meat. This wasn't a pre-workout like Dillian Whyte got banned for before. He got banned for some real heavy stuff before. Human growth hormone, EPO. A guy that takes that. Are you really shocked that a guy that can take that level of drugs has been caught again?
I'm not shocked he's caught again. I'm shocked he's caught again so quickly. Like,
how good is that, by the way, that VADA? Because VADA did say they're coming back, and people smirked and laughed. If it is VADA that have caught him, that's quick work.
Yeah,
very. But it's almost like now you feel how many others are we going to hear about? Because remember, they said they were stopping the clean boxing program during COVID. Like, they gave everyone that that warning. Okay, we're not doing it anymore. So the people who were on it before going, oh wow, no testing now, and then probably a lot of them are now going to be in their wrong cycle for when testing comes back in.
Yes, that is such a good point. Sorry to interrupt you, but that is such a good point. I think a lot of these people thought that there might not be no testing for 2020, the whole of it. And now I think they're shocked that VADA said, well, we're back. And they're like, shit, how do we cycle off whatever we're on very quickly? I also suspect that a lot of top boxers aren't going to take fights because of this. So we might not see a lot of top boxers taking fights because of things like this. They're not going to get tested. A lot of them won't anyway if they're not taking fights. But sorry, Base, don't interrupt.
No, that could be a reason why maybe some of them aren't on the big shows or the shows that are coming back at the minute. And no PBC shows have been, factored at the moment.
At all.
Maybe that could be a reason. Maybe they're like, no, we want to wait towards the end of the year. But yeah, back to Miller. It's a disgrace. I'm not gonna, to be honest. Like I said, I'm shocked it happened so quickly, but I'm not shocked it happened. Get rid of him. Take his license. Like, I don't want to hear about him anymore. And at least now we know that all the rewriting of history is trying to do. I had some bad advice, bad people in the camp. I made a mistake. It's not a mistake. This is you. So we don't need you anymore. Bye. That's how I feel. I don't even want to mention his name again. Ever.
What upsets me about Jarrell Miller, and I'll end with Jarrell Miller, is that I actually wanted to see him in some competitive fights against the likes of Chisora. I just thought those kind of fights, the Chisoras of the world, guys in and around that top 20, I thought would be fun. Just because of the Miller that I remember. So again, that could be a fake Miller, but the guy that used to throw 1,000 punches a fight. But it's just disappointing. It really is. And I don't know if people get caught, whether they need to go counseling. I don't know what it is. But again, if you've been taking drugs for 5 years and someone just tells you to come off them and you've been winning all your fights with drugs, mentally, I don't know how you're supposed to go into a ring without drugs. That's not even me sticking up for him. I'm just like, mentally, I don't know how you would do it. It sounds like I'm sticking up for him, right?
Giving him some defense. No,
I'm giving him a little defense. Like, mentally, though. No, seriously,
cancel.
Look, anyone, mentally, if you've been taking them for 5 years and you know that they've helped you throw, I think it was a CompuBox record number of punches per round for a heavyweight, and then everyone says, come off those, anyone answer, are you going to come off it?
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I do understand. Me personally, I don't have an addictive personality like that, apart from maybe sweets. But even that, with my thing with sweets, I can leave them alone when I really want to. I can go years
especially if the sweets are going to cost you £7 million.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, to me, maybe there's something deeper connection that needs to be dealt with, like internally. But in terms of his career, now it's done. He might as well be a drug counselor. Moving on about how they ruined his life. Don't let them ruin yours. That's his journey in life now.
What scares me about the Miller situation, and I keep bringing up other subjects in my head, sorry, is that this is a guy that's been caught. So once you've been caught, you're red flagged, right? You're going to be tested more than anyone else because you're that guy. The fact that he thinks he can take something and get away with it again, knowing that he is going to be all eyes on him, shows how bad the system for drug cheats is. It shows how bad it is that he thinks he was going to get away with it. And that's crazy.
That's why I was so surprised, because I thought I wouldn't be surprised that I wasn't surprised he took drugs again. I was just surprised how quickly. Surely everyone is going to be watching him. That's the first thing you think when someone's coming back in the fight. You want to watch to see what's different about them and if they are still the same. So why just disappointed, really, isn't it? It's just a joke.
Yeah. It is disappointing. All right, let's move on from that, because I know G-Man's itching to make a video about it and get his views up, as am I. Last subject here, Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao looks like he's back training a little bit, hitting a couple of bags. He still is the lottery ticket, which is unbelievable to think about it. He's still the lottery ticket at the welterweight division. Still one of the lottery tickets in boxing, really. Everyone wants that fight. Not everyone's going to get it. I think the front runners are Porter, Amir Khan, unbelievably, and Mikey Garcia. I'll start with you, G-Man. If you had to choose a fight for Manny Pacquiao, he's not fighting for legacy anymore, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Who do you pick for him?
Oh, boy. I don't know why. Maybe this is a bad thing, but I wouldn't mind seeing the Amir Khan fight. Just because I don't know what it is about Amir Khan. I love seeing him fight. And we've heard Amir Khan, I think it was on Boxing Scene, he said that, Manny Pacquiao never dropped me in sparring. And you look
That's
at that, you
bullshit,
think,
by the way.
Bullshit, yeah. You think, Manny Pacquiao never dropped you in sparring. I don't know. It's the fact that Amir Khan's been gunning for Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather for years. You're thinking that'd be just a fitting end to just, Manny Pacquiao, because he's probably only got one, maybe two fights left in him. Maybe that at the end, just, go give Amir Khan what he wants and then sail off into the sunset. I think most people would pick Manny Pacquiao to pretty easily beat Amir Khan now at this stage. Mikey Garcia, I mean, Mikey close in weight to Manny Pacquiao, but, you know, he suppose he got the Jesse Vargas win. You know, that's fair enough. But the fight before that, he was absolutely just outgunned, outclassed by Errol Spence. And, you know, Mikey Garcia, I don't know. Again, how is Manny Pacquiao still a PBC fighter? And Mikey Garcia with Eddie Hearn.
Manny Pacquiao is mercenary for hire. Literally fight contract anywhere. That's all he's doing right now. One fight contract. So whoever pays the biggest bucks, he's going. So he can fight anywhere.
I think the Sean Porter fight the most competitive. I wouldn't mind. I want to see the Amir Khan fight, but the Sean Porter fight be very good. I think though Sean Porter is good for Manny Pacquiao in terms of style because Manny Pacquiao won't have to go looking for him. Sean Porter will come. He'll come charged at Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao, he does not need to go looking for Sean Porter. Sean Porter, a massive welterweight. Like, let's not forget, this is a man who beat Usyk in the amateurs, which shows just how big Sean Porter is. So, you know, they're good fights. Manny Pacquiao's not fighting for legacy, you know. And for the fans' point of view, I think I want to see the Amir Khan fight.
Imagine if Manny Pacquiao, and this is how crazy his resume already is, but if Manny Pacquiao were to fight Sean Porter, Manny Pacquiao's last 4 fights would be Lucas Matisse, Adrian Broner, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter. Crazy. That's fucking ridiculous for a 41. I mean, we've been begging for Kell Brook to have fights, and this is Manny Pacquiao, 15 years maybe past his prime, and his last 4 fights could be that. That's crazy. I personally am with you. I want to see Amir Khan get his chance. I don't know why. I just feel like he was so close to getting the Floyd fight. He won that poll. Everyone wanted to see him versus Floyd and not really Floyd versus Maidana. Maidana got it done well, but I think Amir Khan deserves his shot. Base, if you had to pick out of those 3, or if you got any other names, who would you go for?
Do you know what? I'll stick to those 3. The best fight is against Porter because that's just an action-packed fight. There'll be some technical ability in there, but it will be a slugfest.
And give Manny the juice as well. Let Manny get on the good stuff as well.
Hey, you know what? Let him. This is probably one of his
last fight. Let him have him.
We'll give it to him. I think the most tactical fight is going to be against Mikey Garcia, and his easiest fight realistically going to be against Khan.
Absolutely.
So if he just wants to sort of end on a high, I think he'd pick Khan. I want Porter, but I would quite happily see him face Khan, beat Khan, and sail off into politics full time.
Yeah. Kieran, let's be honest, Manny Pacquiao gets 20 million for fighting any one of those guys, right? I mean, the money doesn't necessarily go up or down by that much if he fights Mikey, Sean, or Amir. In fact, Amir could get more money versus Pacquiao in a fight in Saudi Arabia more than the other guys. We know they like that. So Amir could actually be financially a bigger fight, which is crazy. So if they're all the same money, surely you go Amir Khan, right? The easiest fight. Why do you want to roll the dice with Porter? Why do you want that fight? That's a tough fight.
Exactly. Amir Khan is both of them are towards the end of the career. We assume Pacquiao is better. I mean, his past results show it. Like he's a champion still. Like I think he started boxing before I was born. So, and he's still a champion now, which is mad. But no,
it's funny. Sorry, just to interrupt you. Paulie Malignaggi, I think you guys have probably heard it when Paulie said that he started boxing, learning how to box, and Manny Pacquiao was fighting for his first world title, learning how to box. He said he's gone through learning the whole of his amateur career, becoming a world champion, retiring, and Manny Pacquiao still fighting. That's fucking mental. But sorry, go on. Sorry, Kieran, go on.
Yeah, no, I just can't believe it. But yeah, I think you probably will go with Amir Khan. It just makes the most sense. I think both of them are towards the end of the career. He's obviously the easiest option of the two because the other 2 are still live. Like they're still live contenders. Even though Garcia is a bit small for the weight, but he's still a contender. He still did well against Vargas. But no, I would love to see the Porter fight. I think that would just be insane. Yeah. But it's probably going to be Khan. And I'll still be happy about it. I'll still watch it. It's an enjoyable fight for a couple of rounds.
I agree. I think it will be a couple of rounds as well, especially, again, I know I chuck this stuff when I say Manny Pacquiao on the good stuff, but there's history there. There's reasons for it. I swear. if it is Amir Khan, again, Amir Khan's possibly last fight. End on this one. How would you sum up Amir Khan's career? I personally feel that he maybe doesn't get enough credit because of the vicious knockdowns, the Bradis Prescott, the Canelo Alvarez. These are ones that are vivid in our memory. But there was a time when I thought it was the best 140-pounder. 17 years old, AFN silver medalist as well. I think we forget that amateur record that Amir Khan's had. How would you sum up Amir Khan's career if it were to stop right now? G-Man, you go.
I definitely think underappreciated as well. You know, let's not forget, people talk about Amir Khan getting brutally knocked out. I was just watching Sky's most exciting rounds when he beat Marcus Maidana in 2010. Marcus Maidana, massive punter, he took them shots. So Amir Khan at 140, back when he was in his prime at that weight, he was the man. You know, people talk about Josh Taylor. It's like, no, Amir Khan back then, he was something else, but he could never get the big fights that he wanted. You know, Amir Khan, it was like, he got his silver medal, he got his world titles, he wanted the big fights, he could just never get them. So we had to go basically taking fights that he shouldn't have taken, like the Canelo fight at middleweight, basically, that shouldn't have took that fight. And, you know, horrible knockout, you know, and then he takes a Terence Crawford fight, you know, quitting that fight because I think, you know, I don't think there was much left. Didn't want it. There was nothing left. So those are the memories that a lot of kind of newer fans will have. Amir Khan getting badly beaten by Canelo, quitting against Crawford, and then fighting Saudi Arabia against a lightweight. Whereas you look back earlier in Khan's career, you know, discounting the Prescott knockout, he was doing well. You know, he was quick, he was exciting, he could punch a little bit back then. And, you know, I don't think he gets enough credit. I think that people are too quick to remember the knockouts and not the good work that he did.
Do you think, Base, that there's a bit of uncredit, I don't know if that's the right term, just because those losses, minus Canelo, he never chased the Bradis Prescott one again for the rematch, which a lot of people do. Never chased the Danny Garcia one again up until, I think, a couple of weeks ago, we said he'd like to fight Danny Garcia. Never chased Lamont Peterson as well. So the fights there that people would have thought, okay, if they were lucky, like he kept on saying Danny Garcia was lucky, closed his eyes and threw a punch. Why did Amir Khan not chase those? Do you think he doesn't get a lot of credit just because he didn't right those wrongs?
Yeah, to be honest, I think you're right. I'm very guilty of underappreciating Amir Khan's overall body of work. You know, I've had some of my sort of boxing friends really sort of talk to me sometimes, and we really get into it. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. He actually is a lot better than I gave him credit for. But the problem is his losses, it's almost like his losses overshadow everything because they were so big. Like they were bigger moments in history. That some of them you could almost feel that they were cultural events when he got that the Canelo knockout was something I saw that for about 6 months on memes afterwards. Like it was just it was that vicious.
I actually feel like the Bradis Prescott one, which I think Sky taking the piss showed it the other day. I think that one was even worse. Because at least we knew Canelo, right? Canelo was, we knew Canelo. No one picked Khan in that fight. It was almost like, okay, let's see what you can do. Prescott put him to sleep. And no one knew who Prescott was.
And yes, I think just because a lot of that is just a case of people, they don't really know, his successes aren't really displayed as much. So if you had to sum up his career, but I'd also feel like, as you said, because he kept chasing, he kept chasing the wrong people. What he should have done was just kept cementing his legacy. They would have come to him. And even if they didn't, his legacy alone would have stood tall because he's like, I've still done this, that, and that, and that. And this person ducked me. He could then make the argument rather than I was chasing this person and he didn't want it. But then when you look at that person's resume compared to yours, like yours is the one that's lacking. So he should have went on his own path, done his own thing, and then he would have got to that stage. So it's a shame. Good guy, really sort of a really good boxer, definitely underappreciated, definitely underrated, but wasted. I feel like it was a bit of a wasted career. That's my opinion.
What do you think about it, Kieran? Amir Khan, again, like what Bay said there, and I fully understand, you feel like the losses, and they were big losses, sometimes maybe overshadow some of those big wins. When you kind of weigh his biggest wins up, so the Danny Garcia, Collazo, Maidana, when you kind of weigh those, sorry, not Danny Garcia, sorry, Collazo, Maidana, Devin Alexander, and when you look at the losses, though, they're big losses. Terence Crawford, was it a quit? Was it not a quit? Knockout of Canelo, knockout of Danny Garcia, knockout Bradis Prescott. There are bad losses there as well.
It's like, I agree with quite a lot with what he said. He's had a great career, and I think the big reason why his losses are so big as well, it's like Canelo's knockout was like the knockout of the year, I'm pretty sure, or very up there anyway, at least top 5 knockout of the year. And that doesn't go away. Like, it's even mentally for Amir Khan, I bet that hasn't gone away. Because I don't know if you've ever been punched. That shit hurts. Like, so I can understand that. But also, I think it's also because of like what Floyd has done. Because he won without losing, and so did Joe Brazagi. People always think, oh, as soon as you get a loss, it means your career is done. And I don't understand that personally. But people thought the same with AJ when he first lost against Ruiz. People thought, oh, he's a joke now. He's never, his past wins showed he's still a good fighter. Like, he's still a champion. But people overlook the losses compared to the wins, which I think is wrong. But again, I think what Bay said, he kind of ruined himself by chasing these names, even though he knew he wasn't going to get them. I think he should have done a similar thing to what White's doing now. He's still fighting big names, but he is chasing these big shots. But in this meantime, he's saying, well, they're not fighting me, so I'll fight this next contender. He's still fighting people in the top 10, top 20. He's got, even if White never becomes a champion, he's still got a decent legacy behind him. He's beat decent fighters. And even if he loses to Povetkin or Fury, I still think he will go on to fight top 10, top 20 fighters. So, yeah, he just missed out. But I think he is overlooked because of his knockouts, and he's a great fighter. He's shown it. He's had great fights, and he deserves credit. Like, one of Britain's best, I would say, in recent years anyway.
Yeah, I agree. And that's a good way to end. Amir Khan, Base, G-Man, Kieran, thank you so much. G-Man, I'm probably going to see your video uploaded in about 10 seconds. So get to it. Hurry up. Time's going. Right. Views are of the essence. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Much appreciated. Honestly, Base, you've started up some trouble now. Thanks for starting trouble in the video. Because this Dillian Whyte Tyson Fury thing's going to go back and forth.
I'll be in the comments typing away to everyone. Let's go.
I like it. I will give you my login account so you can log in and be my defender. But guys, thank you so much. Have a great evening. No doubt, much appreciated, guys.
You too. Peace.
Take care.
Peace.